Good morning. Today we're going to talk about microclimates. I am sitting in the coldest corner of my yard, and it's a lot different here than it is in the warmest corner, where I'm going to bring you in just a minute. Now, I didn't understand when I moved to this new location exactly where everything was going to be situated, because I didn't understand the microclimates. And so what I tried to do, which is what I'm instructed to do by permaculture, but many people don't do, and I don't always do myself, is observe for a year the different sections of the yard and how they behaved in different seasons. And this is really important to understand when you're looking for the microclimates in your yard. So, what is a microclimate? Microclimate is a place in your yard, or well, anywhere really, where the climate, the local climate, and it can be as small as just a few feet. The local climate is different, substantially different from the climate of the rest of the yard. For example, you can have different moisture content in some parts of your yard than in other parts of your yard. And this is really important to understand when you're going to plant certain things. I always tend to think about different temperatures, and temperature can be affected by a lot of things, but one of the real main temperature moderating effects that we get in New England is thermal mass. So I'm going to bring you over and show you an area in my yard where actually we have a lot of thermal mass. And it's not very surprising because it is right next to the house. And so what you can see right here is, I don't know if you can see this because the sun is in my eyes right now, but we've got a columbine that is really doing very, very well at this point in the year, when a lot of things in the yard haven't even started to grow. Now, obviously, a columbine quite often will start on the earlier side, but this is really pronounced. And the reason for this, what you can see here, is that we have thermal mass from the brick here, which I can feel right now, and it is warm, and also from the concrete, which is also warm. And so you've got this corner here, which, when in the afternoon, when it collects sunlight, it creates a kind of a pooling effect of heat. So we get things will start here very early. And this is also a place where I have had really good luck growing peppers, because peppers like a lot of heat, but we don't have a whole lot of heat in New England, except for a couple of months out of the year. So planting something in this corner here, where we've got this really interesting effect, it takes advantage of that microclimate. So I'll show you another funny microclimate here, and that is in front of my my heater vent right here. And so last winter I put my fig tree that is potted, this potted fig tree, in front of this heater vent, and surprisingly it did better than the one that was in what I thought was the warmest corner of my yard. We're going to see how that works out this year. And my suspicion is that because it was a colder year, this may have a harder time, and it might die back a bit. But putting it under this heater vent gives it a little bit of an edge, because on the coldest of nights, the heat will be running and will create a microclimate for this particular plant. So you also have microclimates. So you've got microclimates that are created by shade, and you can see this in the spring when you look at where the sun is melting the snow first. It's really important to see this, because those are the areas where you may be able to get things started a little bit earlier than in other spots. So that's important. You've got, like I said, you've got moisture differences in different areas. Now that can be caused by a lot of different things. You could have runoff. In my case, you could have runoff from your gutters, but you could also have, say, a small pond. I used to, in my old property, I used to actually have just a 5-gallon bucket that I sank into the ground, and it held water, and it created enough of a little space that I could have cattails growing in my front yard. So a pond is actually, in a sense, kind of like a microclimate, but it will potentially create a little extra moisture in the surrounding area. And so that's important. Now, you can also have microclimates that have to do with wind. So you may have an area of your yard where you have a sort of a wind tunnel effect. And this can be created by, like in my case, it can be created by fences and other sorts of structures that funnel the wind in a certain path. And you want to be aware of that because, for instance, when you're putting out young plants, they can be affected by strong winds much more so than more mature plants. And so thinking about that, watching for that, seeing where the wind affects things more and where it comes through. And on a windy day, go out and stand in your yard and get a sense of that. And you can put that to use, but you can also use that to prevent damage to young plants. So right now, we don't have a whole lot going on in the yard, but I am doing my best to take advantage of the microclimates, get things started a little bit earlier in those spaces where I can, and prepare myself for the upcoming season in the microclimate, which is the inside of my house. So that can be a very helpful microclimate to you too, even though strictly speaking, that's not what we're talking about. I hope you have a great day. I hope you'll give me that thumbs up and drop some comments below. What have you observed in your own yard that creates microclimates for you that you can take advantage of during your gardening season? I'd love to hear more about that. And please take a look at foodforestgardenclub.org. We're getting together regularly. We also have an upcoming meetup on microclimates where we will all be talking about how we have observed in the last season the different microclimates in our own yards and how we might be thinking about taking advantage of those in the upcoming season. So looking forward to seeing you there. Have a great day.